email has gotten extremely cluttered. Like it's an extremely
Yeah.
noisy channel for Dispo right now.
Yeah.
And has been for like 2 years, right? So like, some of the marketplaces, like nothing wrong with those, they're great for exposure. But when you give wholesalers the keys to the kingdom to be able to email and text blast thousands of buyers that they've never formed a relationship with and don't know, that buyer starts to grow numb to those emails and to those deals. When you see 15, 20 come across your desk in a single day, and 90% of them, you have no idea who they are. I don't know how I'm supposed to know which one's a good or bad deal. Like,
Yeah.
do I trust this guy? I don't know. I've never spoken with him before.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Evergreen Marketing Podcast by Carrot.com, where we help investors build a business of freedom and impact by dialing in your leads and helping you close more deals. I'm your host, Brady, and today I got my new friend Daniel from Investor Base. It's going to be a rad conversation. But first, a tip that actually works. We used to do this in the old days of the podcast, and I'm bringing it back. Okay, so real quick, did you know, it's a real thing, I Googled this week, you can actually rank number one in Google with short form video. Did you know that, Daniel? In Google. I'm not talking TikTok or Instagram. So if you guys have noticed, Google's more often putting this tab up at the top of Google search results, and it says short form video. It doesn't default to that, but it's there as an option. Now, this is still early, so I don't have data yet on like how many people are clicking this. The bulk of traffic's probably still going, for motivated sellers, are probably still going to websites and the sponsor links. But what's interesting is I Googled to test this. I typed in cash home buyers, Portland, Oregon. And just at a glance, I could tell that most of the people there were either not the right type of content that Google should be serving to a motivated seller because the content didn't exist. And the one that was relevant, it was Ryan Pineda, who's doing deals nationally, but he's not local to Oregon. And so I saw that and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know a bunch of investors in Oregon who could start doing video right now and capitalize on this, like doing 60-second shorts on how to work with a cash buyer and doing short form video has the potential of ranking in Google, like low hanging fruit that nobody's really talking about right now. So I thought that was really interesting.
Man, you just gave away Ryan's secret sauce there in Oregon.
I just gave a secret sauce. I think he's doing that for a bunch of markets because I see his Facebook ads like popping up in my feed. I think they have some big national marketing strategy. I see his posts turn into ads, but Ryan Pineda is the only one doing it. There's low hanging fruit for short form video on Google now. So we'll be talking more about that over the next few months as it becomes more popular. But anyways, Daniel, I've got Daniel on. He's the co-founder of Investor Base. You're making Dispo easy for investors. We're going to talk about really valuable Dispo tips, how to move deals through the pipeline faster. You got a really interesting backstory, but you're a real estate guy. You're not a tech guy. And at one point, I don't know if this was past or now, but you told me you're doing 10 deals a month across 10 different states with 12 different hedge funds. So you've done some volume, man. You've done some deals.
Yeah, for sure, man. That was definitely peak for us, I'd say. But yeah, we got there really quick.
Yeah.
To a short amount of time, we did get there. Yeah.
That's cool, man. So you started in a commercial brokerage. Let's do this. Give me some background for like your story. You got an interesting story. And then I want to hear from you kind of how your journey's evolved, how Dispo has evolved over time and kind of where you see it headed in the future.
Yeah, for sure, man. So from Columbia, South Carolina, went to college at College of Charleston, majored in commercial real estate finance, and then got into commercial brokerage. So doing industrial sales and leasing for about 3 years. Loved that. Loved my team. Never wanted to leave. My brother, Andrew, had quit his job a few years before and started wholesaling. And he was always nagging me to get into it. And I was like, nah, man, I'm better than that. I'm doing commercial brokerage, blah, blah, blah. And like, you get inflated early on, right? Your head does.
Yeah.
And finally, I decided to jump into it. That was 2021. I remember he sat me down and he had started working with a lot of the institutional guys that were paying, 100 to 120% of ARV, just absolute craziness. And I just saw some of his numbers that he was putting up. At that point, he had started a disposition company, and was doing Dispo and TC for probably like 100 to 150 wholesalers.
Hmm.
So my entry in was fairly easy because I had Andrew handling Dispo for the first like 5 months. So
Yeah.
I knew how to talk to owners and sellers on the commercial front. So when I got into it on the resi side, it was a walk in the park. I was like, man, I can crush this. So decided to
Yeah.
go full time into it. 2021, started my own firm, um, and really grew really fast.
How
We,
fast? What's fast mean? But what's the numbers on it?
I mean, I sat down at my desk and was waiting on my leads to come into my podio and saw a for sale by owner come up. Like literally the first 5 minutes of me sitting down, it was the first deal that I worked. I got under contract within like
Holy smokes.
the first day I got under contract. What's funny about that deal is I I called that seller for sale by owner Zillow. I was like, all right, this would be a good exercise. I called that seller. He like basically hung up on me. Because I'm sure he got a lot of calls pretty quick, but I texted him. We went under contract and closed within 30 days. I never talked to him on the phone again once. Now, obviously, we verified he was the actual owner because he showed his ID. He actually sold the property, whatever, went to closing. But I texted him for the entire transaction. It was
Really?
crazy. So closed my first deal within 30 days. Got 8 under contract in that first month. Yeah, I'm by myself at that time on Mitcho.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Yeah, that's fast. Eight contracts in your first month. I mean, you knew the industry though. Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, I'd been in talking with sellers for a while, right, on
Yeah.
the commercial side. So, started out pretty hot there, and then I remember I closed 13 deals, in like month 5 or 6. So in 1 month, it was like $175,000, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is insane." And, granted, that was a time period where things were a lot easier. Dispo was a lot easier, and, decided to scale the business from there. So, brought Jack, my current partner, in, and within probably by year 1, we had an office downtown on King Street. We had 4 acquisition managers in house. We had a TC rep. We had Dispo in house. Um, we had 20 cold callers overseas. I mean, within a year, we were up and running.
You're
Uh,
cooking. Yeah.
yeah, so we spread out, to 10 different markets. We worked, 3 or 4 more than others. Worked with probably 3 or 4 different hedge funds more than others. But what was interesting with us is we built our business model around selling to institutional buyers.
Hmm.
So what's unique about that is, we did about 150 deals in 18 months, and not a single one was sold to a local flipper landlord. Um,
Interesting.
our process was we completely reverse engineered the process. Just we'd find out what the buy box was for that uh, for that buyer.
Mm.
We'd verify how much they were paying. So we would essentially we'd hear through the grapevine who was wholesale friendly, and we would literally snipe that buyer and find out exactly what they wanted, and then we would dump our marketing in that market that they're in for that exact house. So we would
Yeah.
only market to 3-1, whatever 1,000 to 2,000 square feet with a single car garage, whatever the specs were, 1985 year built and up, like stuff like that, with zero distress filters on it. So
Interesting.
we never marketed to distress ever.
Hmm.
We marketed to retail because we could pay retail.
Yeah.
So, like,
That's interesting. It's opposite of how most investors go about it. It's usually like, how can I find distress? How can I find a property? Okay, now how am I going to pass this off? Was that with like reverse engineering one buyer, like one hedge fund, or multiple? Or taking like the average of multiple? Okay, like for one market, you weren't just talking to one hedge fund, and be like, hey, what do you want?
yeah, I mean, if there's going to be overlap, right? So, like, if some buy with a garage, some buy without a garage, then we're obviously going to market to without a garage to have a larger list to
Mhm.
market to. Um, but it really worked because we just had such a good relationship with them. To the extent that they knew that we were only working with really a handful of institutional guys and that we didn't mess around with the other stuff, right? Like
Yeah,
they knew that we were working essentially almost as like a third party acquisition, like sourcing
yeah,
company for them. So
yeah, almost a subcontractor, right?
Yeah, so they do things for us that they wouldn't for others, right?
Hmm.
We were always their VIP wholesaler type person, and so with that, we would pre-dispo everything, right? So before we'd go under contract, we'd send it to them, and they would give us an offer before we even put it under contract. So
Hmm.
much that there was one fund that when a lead would come into our podio, it would go onto a shared Excel sheet with that hedge fund, and they would put an offer every single morning on every single one of our leads at an assumed like 30K reno, right? So before we're even calling the seller, we already have an offer on it.
Interesting.
It was
Yeah.
wildly reverse engineered, right?
Wow. That is cool, man.
Yeah. So um, scaled really quick, man. I got to 10 deals a month, like you mentioned, for about two back to back months. It's hard to maintain that once you hit that, but really like
Yeah.
it all that kind of changed for us at the end of 2022. Anybody listening to this remembers rates went up kind of towards the end of 2022, and man, all those guys pieced out. I remember like literally in October, it was like a Friday, that I got a call and we terminated 13 deals at once. It's like
Oof.
150K in assignments, which is brutal when you have four acquisition guys, man. They're like straight commission trying to get paid. And we still had the deals under contract. We just lost our buyers.
Yeah.
The rest of the deals, we probably had like 20 or 30 under contract at a given time. And we immediately JV'd those, right? We're like, we have to find a buyer now, because we have closing coming up. Um, and we didn't have any local buyers. Like we had nowhere to turn to sell these deals. We hadn't done it before. So
Hmm.
we looked out there, to the market to see what solutions we had, and there wasn't really an effective solution to find like to easily find like real buyers. Um, so we just started piecemealing together cash buyers list. We had a JV a little bit, and ultimately found that it was just really unsustainable. Like our
Hmm.
acquisition guys were doing the same amount of work but making half as much, and they're like, "Dude, Daniel, you got
Yeah.
to figure this out." Or
It's not systematized. Yeah.
yeah, they're like, "Where I'm out," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
there's not really a great available solution for us." Um, and so that was when what we started doing is we really figured out how to get dialed in on identifying flips and buying olds by a landlord, like with a manual process.
Hmm.
And my partner Jack, who's a freaking wizard, um, built investor base for us. Right. So we built it for our own business, and it really did save our business. Like by that time, we were starting to flip a bunch of houses, and we still wanted to wholesale. And when that got built, we were like, man, we can make a few phone calls and move this thing. So
Yeah.
that was
That's wild.
that's the story and the origin. That was in probably August 2023. We created the MVP of the product. It's called Buyer Beacon.
Buyer beacon. Isn't it funny how the MVP and the name like totally changes? You start off with a name you think is awesome. You're like, it's so cool, and then maybe it was a little off.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. It's not bad.
we would have kept it. It's just we had like right when we went to go file a trademark, somebody else had filed one 30 days prior, and so we called them
Ah.
and they wanted like 100 grand for it. We're like, dude, we're
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No.
not paying that.
That's wild.
So
So I want to talk a little bit about a little more about investor base if we have time in a few. But I'm curious. So, has your guys' dispo strategy changed since then? Like, are you still reverse engineering with the buyer in mind first?
yeah, so I would say investor base was built with a lot of the same methodology that we
Hmm.
used at Hawks Real Estate that worked. Um, and it does transcend to any wholesale business, right? So some particular aspects of that are identifying the buyers that are paying the most, right? Like we do a great job of identifying buyers that will pay the most based on their transaction history, right? So that's something that we did in Hawks Real Estate really well is we'd
Yeah.
find out that someone's paying 120% of ARV, uh, doing the renovation, leasing it up, and then selling it to a Japanese pension fund for like a 3.5 cap. We're like, okay, that's enough for me to go and skip trace 500,000 homes in Atlanta and dump marketing in there tomorrow,
Mm.
start getting leads. We got really dialed in on that. So same goes for investor base. It's like, the buyers. So at investor base, we give you access to an estimated 10 million real buyers nationwide. And why I say
Mm.
estimated is because our historical search parameters, you can go back 5 years to see who's flipped a house and who's bought a rental within that time frame. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's a pretty large number, right?
Yeah.
Um, but with that, like you and I both know that only a handful of those people are going to be interested in your deal, right?
Yeah.
So what we do great at Investor Base is we identify the most likely buyers for your deal based on their transaction history, right? And a piece of that component is price point. So automatically when you run a search at Investor Base, it's auto filtered by most likely to buy your deal at the top to least likely to buy your deal at the bottom. And the people at the top are more than likely to pay more based on what they've been buying, right?
Mm. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so I like that. So the software, you've kind of taken that manual process of like, how do we reverse engineer, figure this out, and you've kind of baked that into the software. Is that right?
Yeah. So like on a simple step is like, we used to do a 7-step process to produce the buyers that we do now, right?
Yeah.
So it's similar to like imagine going and pulling a cash buyers list, trying to identify the flips, then identify the landlords. Then you got to go and find the LLC, find the registered agent, then skip trace them, pay to skip trace, and then call them. You do that with us with one click of the button, and the skip tracing is free. So we took that process and literally we do it in one click of a button, and then we do the smart match AI for you, right? So like
Mm.
I didn't touch on the real manual process that you're doing that we're saving you time for. Um, and what the smart match does is it really allows you to come into the software and make 20, 30, 40 phone calls, something like that, and get the same results, if not better, than sending out tens of thousands of emails and thousands of texts and making hundreds of phone calls. Um, because you're prioritizing your marketing on the dispo side to people who really will buy your deal based on the fact that they just did the same exact deal like
Right.
6 months ago. It's like, hey, you're trying to sell a 3-1,000 square foot house in this neighborhood today, right? We have, John Doe who just flipped 3 houses in the same neighborhood, sold one 2 days ago. He's paying X percent of ARV, 75% of ARV. Oh, and all three of those houses was a 3-1, 1,000, 2-1, 1,000, 3-1, 1,200. That dude is going to
Yeah.
be your number one smart match buyer 1,000% of the time. All
Yeah.
right.
Interesting. Interesting. I like that, man. It sounds pretty unique and different. So what are some of your tips, like whether it's in our investor base or outside investor base, what are some of the things you're doing to just lock deals up with buyers faster, just to move your deals through the pipeline faster? Whether that's like, I don't know, is any sort of like magic emails you're doing, any sort of magic outreach? You had mentioned before we hit record, like cold calling buyers, like what's working best? What's like the best process for you guys?
Yeah, no, great question. So I'll just start off by saying this. I think the market has definitely changed on the dispo side since I was doing what I was doing back
Mhm.
then. Um,
Yeah,
and
I've heard that a lot from other investors too. Like getting funds in is a lot harder than it used to be. And yeah.
yeah, I'm sure they're still buying. I mean, those guys are always going to be around, but really, what I'm saying is the actual like the dispo niche, I'd say, has gotten interesting. Like,
Mm.
there's a lot of noise out there, and it's really hard to determine. Like, it's really hard for buyers to determine, who's a good wholesaler, who's a bad
Mm.
wholesaler, what's a good deal, what's a bad deal. Email has gotten extremely cluttered. Like, it's an
Yeah.
extremely noisy channel for dispo right now.
Yeah.
And has been for like 2 years, right? So
Yeah.
like, some of the off marketplaces, like nothing wrong with those, they're great for exposure. But when you give wholesalers the keys to the kingdom to be able to email and text blast, thousands of buyers that they've never formed a relationship with and don't know, that buyer starts to grow numb to those emails and to those deals. When you see 15, 20 come across your desk in a single day, and 90% of them, you have no idea who they are. Like,
And it's not the right
how am I
property that they're
supposed to,
looking for.
yeah,
Yeah.
like we buy houses, like we did 15 flips last year. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to know which one's a good or bad deal. Like,
Yeah.
do I trust this guy? I don't know. I've never spoken with him before. So, like, the barrier of entry to get those deals out, sure, was created like to get stuff out a lot faster. But the downside of that is engagement on those is like was extremely low, right?
Yeah.
So,
It
um,
makes sense. I mean, like, I'm not an active investor myself, but I see the noise in Facebook groups, and I see how many people are like floating properties around in Facebook groups, and email itself in general has just gotten way more crowded over the last few years. I think as ad spend goes up, people go back to the cheaper, more grassroots strategies like email. It's just noisy right now, so it's harder to stand out. It still works. Email is never going to die, but yeah, it's a little more crowded.
yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're a business owner, you've experienced that, right? You get cold
Yeah,
emails all the time. They make it
yeah,
as a spam. They come in, you're like, damn, this guy's not even giving me
yeah,
an unsubscribe button. Like I now I got to respond to him and tell him stop. And I
I
honestly,
know.
I feel bad sometimes. I'm like, hey man, I'm good. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be rude, but there's a lot of junk out there right now. So
You're kinder than me. I'm like, I feel like I'm usually a pretty nice dude, but like sometimes I get the most cold pitches with zero context. I don't have any issue like sending them right to spam. I'm like, you could have tried a little bit. I
the,
don't know.
the cold email tactics nowadays are actually getting hilarious. Um,
It's comical.
so like,
Yeah.
I get some that are really good. That I
Uh,
respect. But
anyways, I pulled you off track. You were talking about what's working well for getting buyers.
yeah, I mean, and look, I'm a little bit biased, right? But I would say what's working really well for our user base is actually just reaching out to these buyers, right? So like, but via cold call. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of put it like this sometimes. Like, I believe calling will always be the highest form of conversion when it comes to sales, and Dispo is sales, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it like this, say a seller raises their hand and says they're interested in selling their house. Are you going to text them, or are you going to email them, or are you going to pick up the damn phone? And you're going to call them, right?
Right. Yeah.
I hope that you're calling them, right? Like,
Yeah.
I hope that that's a part of your business process. But the same goes for Dispo, right? Calling someone and having a conversation with that person is going to be the highest form of communication to sell your deal. Now, it is a little bit more time intensive, but that's why we take out all the legwork for you to prioritize who you're calling, right?
Hmm.
So much so that we've done some tests even in the last 60 days. We've found that over 50%, it's actually 60%, but I'm just going to say 50% of the buyers that you speak to in investor base will be interested in your deal.
Wow. That's
So
great. That's
it's a,
solid.
it's a very high number, right?
Yeah.
Um, So having the right call cadence, so single call, double call voicemail, double call text, double call voicemail and text, the follow-up process, are you calling these guys on day one, day two, day three, or are you just calling them once? Um, all of that is going to play a role into, hey, what drives the most buyer engagement, right? In a cold call process. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, another thing we do to like save you time is we added a buyers list feature um, in investor base that when you add a buyer to your list, we programmatically upload their buy box for you based on their transaction history. Right. So if I
Hmm.
was to go in, talk to John Smith, he seems like a great buyer. We have a great conversation. I click add to buyers list. I'm going to programmatically pull in everywhere that he's bought historically, all the zip codes, the counties, the cities. Now I just need to verify, um, what price points he buys and a few other factors to add in there. Does he buy creative, blah, blah, blah. But what you have the power to do with us is like when your buyers list is in investor base, you can filter by all the criteria of the people that you want to buy to sell to, right? So if
Hmm.
you come in your buyers list and just say, hey, I only want to sell this to someone buying, single family in this county and this the flippers, whatever, you can do that in your CRM or other places. But when you get super dialed in based on like the price, your asking price, what the renovation amount is, you might trim your buyers list from say 10,000 to 10. And more
Mm.
often than not, if you talk to any wholesale company, they'll tell you that their buyers list after 5, 10 years, a majority of those people probably either aren't buying anymore or it's the same few people that continue to buy their deals. Right. So,
Yeah. And they're not even open the emails most of the time. Yeah.
yeah. So, how do we prioritize who we are reaching out to?
Yeah.
In a noisy environment, like I don't want to go call 10,000 buyers. And I'm not telling you to do that. Okay. But when you have the tools and if you can do it in your CRM, great. Right. Like do that. I'm just educating you to do that. Right. But you
Yeah.
should have a cold call component to your Dispo process. So if you have the ability to filter your buyers list and call the people that will buy your deal, you have to add that in because
Mm.
more often than not, your deal is going to get lumped up with the other email blasts that are going out or the other text blasts that are going out by other wholesalers, right?
Mm. Yeah. Interesting. So that makes my brain go, "Oh, what are you saying when you hop on the phone? Like, what's your, and this is probably, I'll have to, I know we both have a hard stop at the hour. It's probably one of the last questions I could ask you, but yeah, what are you saying when you get on the phone when you're cold calling a buyer? Like, walk me through that process.
Yeah. So the good thing at Investor Base is you have the deal that they did right in front of you and the
Mm.
details of that deal. And you have a Zillow link, you have all the pictures, you have all the details of the deal. So what we recommend doing is, and look, whether you're using Investor Base or not, should be helpful. If you're cold calling buyers at all. But in the first 20 seconds of that call, always reference the deal that they did and the deal that you're trying to sell. Okay. Um, what this does is this changes it from a cold call to more of a warm call and a
Mm.
purposeful call, right? They understand very quickly um, um, that you're not just cold calling them to be like, hey, so are you buying in this county or whatever? Can I add you to my buyers list? It's like, hey, look, I've done my due diligence on you. I know the deal you did. It looked like a great flip. I have one coming up right around the corner. Are you interested in doing another flip? Right. There's two other components that I always recommend to add to the cold call within the first probably 5 to 10 lines that you're speaking. Um, and one in particular is going to be reference that they're one of the first people that you have spoken with, right?
Mm.
No buyer wants to be the 500th person that you called. No buyer wants to be the 10,000th email that you've sent out. No buyer wants to compete with everyone else on an off market marketplace. No buyer wants to compete with MLS, right? Buyers love being first to the punch. Okay. So when you reference that they're one of the first people to see the deal, it makes them inclined to get you an offer faster
Mm.
naturally. Like by definition, I mean, think about if you're buying houses and someone calls you out of the blue, they're like, hey man, by the way, you're actually one of the first people that I've spoken to. The reason I'm calling you is because I want to get this deal done quick. And I saw that you actually did a deal, right? Like I know already that you're a real buyer and I don't want to mess around with anybody that's not going to be a real buyer for me. So that's why I reached out to you, but just want to let you know you're one of the first people that I reached out to. And that said, John, I'd love to get this done with you, but I am on a bit of a time crunch, So if if you get close to or at my asking price, what I can tell you is that I'll just bypass sending this to my buyers list altogether. And we'll just get this done. Right. So
Mm.
I see that work very well. Like buyers want to, they might drop exactly what they're doing and go and underwrite it immediately. Right. They're
It's
like,
that exclusivity. It's when you're on Amazon and Amazon tells you there's one left in stock, purchase in the next. Yeah. Yeah.
right, for
That's
sure.
good.
And just one last piece is to reference that you have more deals coming down the pipeline. This is
Mm.
something that I don't think people do enough. And sometimes it's hard to squeeze in. So maybe like towards the end of that call, um, is when you reference that you have more deals coming down the pipeline. So it's like, hey, John, look, I know we're working on this one, but I just thought I'd throw this out there. I just dumped a lot of marketing in this market. I don't have a lot of great buyers here. So I got more deals coming down the pipeline that, you know, if we can get this one done, I would love to get you access to these other deals that I got coming up.
Yeah.
And what that does is that, like, he now subconsciously thinks that he has to do you a solid, right? So he's thinking, okay, well, if I can get close to this one, if I can maybe even squeeze my margins just a little bit to get this deal done, he's going to give me the other ones, or at
Yeah.
least I'll have a first shot at those. So that's what's
Yeah.
something, that a little trick that can get them closer to your asking price, is just saying, hey,
Yeah.
I got exclusive access to more deals coming, right? And so that's something that can help drive that.
That's good, man. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you giving out just like honest tips that people can use, like with investor base or without. Obviously, you guys are taking out like a bunch of the work and making it easier and frictionless, but that's really good. And I can see how that kind of, you're also telling the buyer, like, even if that deal doesn't work out, you know, you've started the relationship. It's way more likely that something's going to come to fruition at some point with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good, man. Well, shoot, I know we're at about time. I appreciate those nuggets. I'll say two things real quick. One, for anybody listening, if you do want to check out Investor Base and you want $100 off your first payment, just check out the link in the description and you can go check it out and try it out, see if it's a fit for you. Awesome software. Second thing, where can people find you, Daniel, if they want to connect with you?
What do you mean?
Or just, I was going to say, like, I don't know, you're on social media, you do anything in social, or just it's all investor base? You don't have to give it anything.
No, what's funny is, you know, we've grown so fast. I don't even know if our Facebook or Instagram page even exists. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow Daniel McClam. Yeah,
you can see Daniel's family posts once every 2 years, just like
yeah,
me, or sporadic, infrequent posts.
it has been a little bit since I posted, but now if you want to reach out to either info at support, we do a lot of onboarding calls. We do one-on-one onboarding calls with you and your team. I do group webinar onboarding calls where we dive into Dispo best practices. We dive into a lot of the stuff that we really just skimmed the surface on today. So those are free. So we have a free
Sweet.
trial. So when you jump in, we'll get you in a webinar. So if you want to sign up or you just want to learn more about Dispo, we'll help you out there. And that'll be me on those calls.
Sweet, man. All right. Well, we got 2 minutes left at the hour. I'm going to make the most of it. I want to do a quick fire round here. We're trying something new on the podcast. I'm going to spitball some questions and do your best to answer as best and as fast as you can. Okay. Number one, you ready?
Yeah.
What's the best piece of marketing advice, either strategy or tactic, you can share?
Prioritize real buyers on the Dispo side.
Prioritize real buyers. Curveball. I should have known it was going to be about buyers instead of about sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number two, what's a book that changed your life and what's the problem that it solved?
Man, I don't read a lot of books, to be honest with you. It's bad. Is the Bible a cop-out?
No, that's not a cop-out. It'll change your life.
Yeah.
It's many books, so you're technically wrong because it's a compilation of books, but no, that's okay, man. No, that's a great answer. Changed my life. Okay. Number three, what advice would you give to your younger self? That is going to be a stressful, crazy ride building a business.
I like thinking of things where I answer. So I'm bad at the fast action stuff, but I would just say,
good.
don't stop learning. Like, I think just investing in yourself, the education piece is always going to be there. So yeah.
Yeah. Don't get comfortable. That's good. Awesome. And then I'm going to put you extra on the spot. Is there anything you're doing outside real estate, any impact you're making, anything that lights you up that you want to share about?
I mean, I usher at church, which is solid. Always feels good whenever you leave church on a Sunday after ushering. I mean, for real, like, it's just a good reset. I'm a part owner in the Golfers Lounge, which is a indoor golf simulator business. So we got three locations of that. I'm a little bit of a silent partner there. My main focus obviously is the measure base, but that's fun. Our location is right across the street from my office. So
yeah,
you know, if I need to get out and get a little lighten me up, then I'll go hit 500 balls in like 30 minutes and come back.
Dude, you guys in the South, you like to golf. I'm in Oregon where it rains, 100 days out of the year. We don't have the luxury.
You need an indoor simulator facility.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Cool. Yeah, I think they're actually putting one in Roseburg. You have to come out to the Bandon Dunes someday, about an hour and a half of Roseburg, hour and a half west of Carrot HQ, over on the coast, like world
I'll be
famous
there.
golf.
I'll be there in June, playing with my dad.
Are you? Nice,
Yeah,
man. I mean, we're an hour and a half out, but stop by Carrot HQ, man. Yeah, we'd love to have you by.
I'm already planning on it.
Sweet, dude. We'll see you then. Well, cool, man. I appreciate that. You did well. I threw you a bunch of curveballs. Again, everybody listening, Daniel, thank you. Everybody listening. If you got value out of this, share with a friend, share it on social media. Feel free to tag us at Get Carrot on Instagram. If you have any thoughts, feedback, you want to see someone on the podcast, shoot me an email, brady@carrot.com. I'm always open to chat, but hopefully you got value out of this. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.